Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and as the day inches ever closer for the first hearing on the extradition of Julian Assange, I've been working with the Action for Assange Network to try to get you guys, number one, to take action by doing a small video, uploading it to this Dropbox. We're going to put the link in the live chat right now. Hopefully some of you guys have responded, but we're going to take it to the next level. We're going to tell you how you can actually take action. And believe me, we're well past action, but it's never too late. We have to remember, the Queen has now weighed in on this. No surprise here. She has real power, and she could stop the whole thing. She's not going to. It's a political matter. And let's not forget, we're going to play this video a little later. Jeremy Corbyn did confront Boris Johnson on this very issue and asked him straight up if he would allow the extradition of Assange. And you guessed it, Boris Johnson refused to answer. So to talk about these actions and how you can take part and how they're taking place not only all over the country but all over the globe is Andrew Smith from the Action for Assange network. Andrew, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you today, Jason?
Very, very good. So why don't we just get right to it? How can people get involved?
So the thing right now that we're trying to do is get as many people as possible either to DC for extradition week or taking action in their own town during that time. Whether you're going out and putting up flyers in your own community, whether you're passing out posters, whether you're just one of the people that goes up to a random community event or goes into a random newspaper building and says, hey, I don't know if you guys know, but this is what's going on with Julian Assange. So if you can't make it to DC, I would just ask you to do what you can with the time, money, resources, and connections that you have to have something local happen, even if it's a story of a one-person sit-in inside of a local newspaper that gets ran on the third page. It's still something that you can try to create locally, because if you're not the one doing it, there's not going to be someone out there to do it.
And I think that's 100% correct. I am going to be joining you guys. It looks more and more like I'm going to leave Sunday night and get there early Monday morning. That's my plan. Maybe it'll be early Monday morning into the afternoon, but I'm going to try to get there as early as possible Monday because that's really when it kicks off. And that's when I think is going to be people's best opportunities. So you don't even need a flyer. You need your phone and a selfie stick. And you talking to people saying, hey, were you aware today is the end of free speech as we know it in this country? Well, what do you mean? Well, are you aware that Julian Assange today may be extradited to the United States for an illegal indictment that basically says that you can be a foreign citizen like Julian and be part of an organization that's a public disclosure organization, now equated with ISIS and other terrorist groups, that simply publishes documentation that exposes the crimes of the predator class. Do you know anything about that? Isn't he a Russian asset?
I would honestly reference people back to that great little video you did about the document that came out of, I believe it was the Department of Justice recently, specifically talking about how public disclosure groups are becoming the public enemy, which is literally coming out at the same time that we're building protests. And then outside of DC, outside of that first week, because that's really just the beginning of our whole organizing process, we're trying to get teach-ins started. We're trying to get local community-based town halls started where people can have us just stream in as the free Assange hosts to do a 45-minute teach-in with them, answer questions that they have about Julian, about Chelsea and Jeremy and Reality Winner, and all these different whistleblowers and publishers that are being prosecuted right now. So that would be another great way for people to get involved. If you're already in some kind of local group or involved in something and can help us do a teach-in for your group specifically live to answer questions, that would be really cool. Whether it's a college campus, whether it's a local beekeeping organization, anywhere you can get four or more that can literally just answer questions and then would be willing to go out in their community to tell people about it.
And you don't have to be as long-winded as me. It works like this as well. Are you aware of what's happening to Julian Assange? Like, it's that simple. Or do you know about Julian Assange? How do you feel about WikiLeaks? And just get someone's reaction.
My line with people is Julian Assange was the founder and publisher of WikiLeaks. He's currently facing 175 years in prison for reporting the crimes and corruption of the U.S. government, including torture and the killing of American journalists.
And what do they usually look at you and say, like, is that usually the response right there? Like,
yeah, and just with that simple 2 sentences, it creates so much more of a conversation than anyone's had about real issues in the last 5 years. And that's why I really want people to get out into their communities to say to the average normal person, hey, do you know what's happening? Did you know we're losing this right now?
And our First Amendment is, the fact that we have a society, not only that we're supposed to be able to speak out, we're not supposed to have to pledge allegiance to anyone. Just before you were on, I had Robbie Martin of Media Roots on, and Abby is currently suing the state of Georgia because they wanted her to sign, a pledge to Israel, basically, an anti-BDS pledge, and they didn't allow her to speak. Well, our First Amendment is under attack in so many ways right now, from signing pledges of allegiance to foreign nations. I got news for you, folks. The First Amendment, it allows me not to pledge allegiance to this flag. I can say, I don't like what this flag's doing. And I'm not going to pledge allegiance to prejudice, to bigotry, to the killing of innocent citizens on behalf of the predator class. It's just never going to happen. And the only reason...
it really comes down to the way that they've changed the conversation around what the word patriot and patriotism means. Because literally, if you don't just blanket support what's going on, you are Islamophobic, you are anti-Semite, you are insert all of these other things. Instead of just allowing people to have real conversations around issues like eco-apartheid and like the apartheid that's happening in Israel right now, and how it's literally caused by the same factors and same people that are causing the genocide in Yemen that have destabilized so many other countries in the Middle East.
And not only that, but we had a former president of the United States over a decade ago, Jimmy Carter, write a book, Peace Not Apartheid, with all the hype in the 90s when Nelson Mandela and apartheid was ended in Africa. To think that modern day we have such outward evidence of apartheid in a first world nation, in a powerhouse in the Middle East, in a nuclear power, you could argue. You know what I'm saying? And no one's allowed to speak out about it, or you're a bigot, you're a racist, you're an anti-Semite. That is absolutely incredible. What's even more incredible is that they've now put it into state law, and they're trying to put it into federal law that you can equate the two. That's unbelievable. But again, we're living in a country that we had somebody who was a real whistleblower, who had their sentence commuted after serving their time of exposing war crimes within our military, now serving how many days in jail, in solitary confinement, because they won't perjure themselves and lie about Julian Assange.
I believe this second time she's well over 300 days in jail and greatly exceeded $200,000, if not more, in fines right now. I didn't check on the daily statistics today, but it's something that if they're allowed to do it to these people, if they can put someone in jail 3 times for the same exact thing after the sentence is commuted in hopes that that person perjures themselves or has to lie to give them the information that they want to hear, that can happen to any of us. Like, if it can happen so publicly, like Chelsea Manning gets her sentence commuted by President Obama 18 months later, after she runs for Senate nonetheless, I believe it was Senate or House of Representatives, she gets put back into jail for a few months, released for about a week and a half, and then put right back into jail again. And that's psychological torture. They're saying, hey, this is a taste of freedom. Do you want to tell us yet? Okay, 18 months later, you're back in jail. Hey, you're in jail again. Here's another week and a half of freedom. Hey, you're back in jail. Are you ready to talk? And it just comes down to who's going to be the next person that they do this to unless we stop them.
And again, the goalpost has been moved so far that we're not talking about the fact that this person's being wrongfully detained. We're not talking about, we have zero rights to get Julian Assange extradited to this country. The media, who supposedly hates our president, has only asked him once about the fact that he ran on the WikiLeaks, couldn't get enough of the WikiLeaks. Do you love the WikiLeaks? And now he doesn't know much about that 14-part extradition and indictment. I wanna just show you this and get your reaction. This is Corbyn speaking out for Julian Assange and Boris Johnson refusing to really comment.
This deep disparity with the US is about to be laid bare when the courts decide whether the WikiLeaks publisher Julian Assange will be extradited to the US on charges of espionage for exposing war crimes, the murder of civilians, and large-scale corruption. Will the Prime Minister agree with the parliamentary report that's going to the Council of Europe that this extradition should be opposed and the rights of journalists and whistleblowers upheld for the good of all of us?
Johnson didn't answer.
And hold on, are they going to show it right here? They didn't. Man, I wish they had showed his response, but he refused to. He refused to answer. He basically said, "Of course, we're going to uphold journalist rights," but he wouldn't speak on Julian Assange. Props to Corbyn. I don't always agree with the guy, but he broke it down rather well there in the Parliament. And guess where that was in our media? You see that on CNN? Was that headlines on MSNBC?
No, it's Russian propaganda coming straight from RT and then the Parliament of the UK. That's how deep the Russians have infiltrated now.
You got it. Exactly. It was because it was only featured on RT.
Mm-hmm.
Parliamentary hearings where the head of the opposition party who called out truth is now Russian propaganda. And by the way, guys, we've always been at war with Eurasia. Don't ever let fucking anybody tell you different. We've always been at war with them. 2 + 2 = 5. This is the newspeak, man. And the problem is, I feel like...
So to give credit to Steve to explain the situation that we're in now, he likes to reference Noam Chomsky, Steve Poikonen of Slow News Day Show on YouTube. He likes to reference Noam Chomsky's manufacturing consent in the fact that consent has already been manufactured. And at this point, all you have to do is manufacture confusion, because your base level of evil that you need to conquer, dominate, and create slavery in the Middle East and other places around the world is already set. You can invade a foreign country and it doesn't get reported in the media. You can shoot missiles into a sovereign nation for something that clearly was a false flag and get praised and told about the beauty of our weapons. But as long as you don't speak badly about Joe Biden's son, you're okay. It's just when you cross those lines of going after the other elite. And consent has been so manufactured at this point that they can literally take Julian Assange out of the embassy, illegally strip him of his Ecuadorian citizenship and asylum status, and traffic him to Belmarsh prison for a loan from the International Monetary Fund that the nation of Ecuador has now risen up against because of the austerity measures that it imposes against
and hold him beyond the original charge of bail jumping from a charge that was never ever brought in the first place and never ever will be brought.
And almost longer now than what that original 50-week charge was. We're not quite there. We're about a month away from it, but we will pass the point of when they would have held him for the fake bail charges anyways. And it's crazy that more people aren't more upset that this is happening. Because if anything, it shows that there's no accountability. Whether you're someone that thinks Daddy Trump's going to save the world or someone that sees through the illusion, at the end of the day, both sides of that equation support Julian Assange. And that's the part that has been ignored by that side. So that way they can continue this charade almost.
And once again,
if I could recommend one last thing that someone can do easily, regardless of your political affiliation, regardless of how you feel about President Trump, I think engaging his base at rallies, passing out handmade Free Julian Assange signs or photocopied Free Assange signs, Free Assange shirts, and things like that to re-inject that conversation and almost have to make that a part of his campaign and platform issue. Because it really only takes one person showing up, passing out 400 signs at the front of a line, which is less than a ream of paper, and you just made a huge political impact and statement. Because at the very worst, you make the people at the front door take 400 Free Julian Assange signs away.
Yeah, it's a statement. And here's the thing. I know there are some of you out there that are pro-Trump and somehow think that Guantanamo Bay is a good thing. But again, if it wasn't right in your face that there's no charges ever going to be brought against Andrew McCabe, and you don't realize that if they ever get Julian Assange over here, it's not to pardon him, it's to put him away and put the nail in the coffin of free speech and put a chilling effect over those that would publicly disclose things that were against U.S. interests. You need to read that introduction page in that national counterintelligence document where Trump literally pushes the propaganda of Russian election meddling. I mean, how ironic is that? That should say it all. The world's a show, man. Harvey Weinstein's gonna walk. Santa Claus isn't fucking real, and the Easter Bunny's not coming to save you. You gotta save
Jeffrey
yourself.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
Epstein clearly didn't kill himself at this. I mean, I did you see that a judge is actually letting the I believe it's Annie Farmer's sister, or I'm sorry, Maria Farmer's sister Annie, email Ghislaine Maxwell a lawsuit to serve her because no one can find her. That's the Looney Tunes fucking verse we're in, man.
See, that the only concern I have with that, not that I don't want to see justice be brought to her.
It sets a terrible precedent. It sets a terrible and a selective enforcement one.
You're not gonna fucking email me a warrant and then kick my door in because I don't check my email.
I agree. I agree.
Right.
You're 100% right, and it'll be selective enforcement like everything. Everything,
because it's a way of people paying attention to that care about the national security state, then see that precedent get set as a good thing when it's literally just a police state counter move to build propaganda.
Sure, let's milk this Epstein thing for everything it's worth, right? Let's get as much out of this thing as we can. We killed the guy in a New York prison, first suicide at MCC in 14 years, and no one's acting like it's bizarre. First one in 14 fucking years. Yeah, the most high-profile guy.
And even if you think Donald Trump's here to save the world, you have to also realize that unless we encircle the halls of power, we're not going to get any goddamn agency. Unless we as individual people, regardless of ists and isms, stand up to say, whoa, there's these core fundamental things that we need and we need to change so we can guarantee freedom to everybody, so we can have these things. And the pedophile, war criminal, donor, predator class are the ones that are causing those issues.
Yeah. Listen, guys, again, the FBI knew that Prince Charles's uncle, Lord Mountbatten, was a serial pedophile. What did they do? Nothing. They let him become a NATO allied commander. That's what they did. They let him keep going. This is a guy that was assassinated by the IRA. I don't think people get it. If these people aren't outed, they're allowed to continue, and they don't want a guy like Julian Assange publicly disclosing that. They don't want to disrupt the economy.
Because even when they are outed, there's not anyone there to build accountability behind actually getting something to happen either.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm just going to say this, because this also associates with Assange. I got an email today, or a DM from, I'm going to read it, but I'm not going to show it on air. Because that way, I'm not breaking any kind of trust here. I don't want to give the guy's Twitter away or whatever, who's writing the thing. But basically, he was trying to, I'll just read it. He wanted to corner me a little bit. He was like, let's see. He's like, Jason, a follow-up question for you. Do you feel at all responsible for the conspiracy theorizing that occurs on the internet today? Flat Earth, anti-vax, Pizzagate, Sandy Hook. Now, he'd already asked me this stuff. And I'd given really great answers, obviously, or he wouldn't ask me again, okay? Yeah, and he wants to pin me on some kind of like quote. I think a lot of people would say loose change was the start of this wild conspiracy theorizing on the internet. I go, no, of course not. We popularized the video format. That then took off. That is all. I go, Behold the Pale Horse, that's the William Cooper novel, was around a long time before loose change. And then I said this, and P.S. I think real emails like this one addressed to Podesta and others regarding a farm and children whose ages are named and being used as entertainment in a pool is what leads to things like Pizzagate. I'm going to show that email in a minute for those, because I did show that. I obviously pasted that in. He had then tried to corner me again. Now, this is a real email. We're gonna get to the response in a second.
So real quick, if I could give you some credit, real fast.
Yeah.
Loose Change was one of the movies that sparked them having to create counter-propagandic narratives and push the idea of conspiracy theories on the internet even harder. And to me, in some capacity, create the bullshit ones like Flat Earth Theory and the other ones.
Cass
just
Sustein
so people can ask questions and put Loose Change, Sandy Hook, and Flat Earth all on a level playing field.
Exactly. You're 100% right, and that's why he's trying to corner me.
And not even that person's doing it intentionally, but that is just how
they've been programmed to think.
As a society to associate information not from mainstream sources.
100%. So just so this is what I sent him. I sent him this email, and this is one of the leaks. I go, this is what maybe gets people thinking about Pizzagate. With enormous gratitude to Advanced Man Extraordinaire Haber, I am popping up again to share our excitement about the reprise of Our Gang's visit to the farm in Louisville. Who the fuck is Our Gang? And I thought I'd share a couple more notes. We plan to heat the pool, so a swim is a possibility. Bonnie will be Uber service to transport Ruby Emerson and Maeve Lozado, 11, 9, and almost 7. So 3 children are going to the farm as Our Gang in an Uber, so you'll have some further entertainment. And they will be in that pool for sure. Because when I'm going on vacation, what I need is a group email letting me know there's going to be 3 toddlers Ubered to a farm somewhere in a heated pool for my fucking entertainment. That's what causes Pizzagate. That's what does it.
And somehow it was the Russians that had the problem. Like somehow we can have public pedophilia like that placed in our faces as a society and no accountability get created. Because if you want to unite people, that's one of the core issues, because I'm pretty sure the 99% of people that aren't involved with it don't support pedophilia.
Crazy, huh? Crazy we're not for the rape of kids?
So if the last person I know of in the halls of Congress to address child sex trafficking in any capacity was Cynthia McKinney. So
in a real manner.
I want to give a big shout out to that, because anyone involved in the truth movement that cares about those kinds of issues, that doesn't look to her as an example of someone who got into a position to make these statements on the floor of Congress, isn't paying attention.
And then demonized after the fact.
Right.
Big time.
Demonized to the point that she now teaches at a university in Bangladesh because she could not find a job anywhere in the United States in the field of education.
100%.
Regardless of how liberal the colleges were.
100%. And just to wrap it up, he again came at me. He said, yes, you popularized it, but I think by popularizing that format, aka the web video format, some people would say you provided a template for future conspiracy peddlers. Response: they can say whatever they want, but the truth is Oliver Stone's JFK was around in 1991 using film as a medium. As soon as the internet was more than message boards and instant messenger, sites popped up. We simply used the medium of the time. Fair point. Thanks.
And I think Rockfin is the media that time now.
I love that Rockfin, huh?
Yeah. Like after talking with you and being on there a little bit more today than I had before, that's definitely a move that we're going to make as the Action for Assange teach-in vigil series but then also the larger institutions like the Watchdog and things like that are forming out of the Action for Assange movement.
Well, what I like about it is there's an exclusivity to it. You kind of have to, not anybody can just sign up today. It's subscription based, you know what I mean? So you got to be kind of like a proven content creator. You got to offer something. And then even if you're part of it and it's subscription based, you still have to put stuff out people watch and endorse. And that's how you end up getting paid out. So you're actually built into this platform. They want you to make the best content. So they're not worried about you pissing off everybody by saying Erica Caramello Bar's real name. You saw that Rand Paul had his speech taken down. By the way, Erica Jill and Flickoff, thank you so much for those super stickers. You guys are superstars. But you saw that, right? The Senate floor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It got taken off C-SPAN, right?
Well, C-SPAN is the one that put the original clip up. And when they did, I was like, wow, that's pretty ballsy of C-SPAN, because it was 11 minutes, start to finish, of Rand Paul. And Rand Paul said something even beyond naming Caramello Bar and Misco. He said, when we're talking about whistleblowers, let's talk about arguably the biggest whistleblower of all time, Edward Snowden. He's like, half of you wanted him dead. And he goes, the other half, and you think like he's going to play side-by-side politics. He's like, no, the other half wanted him in jail for the rest of his life. It sounds like you only care about whistleblowers when it's about selective things. And that rings so true. That should have been a fucking headline everywhere. First of all, he broke down what the real impeachment was really about for like 6 minutes. He showed that the whistleblower thing was complete bullshit. And then he named the name that shall not be named. I was surprised it was up for like the 4 days it was. But they pulled it from, again, I knew they were going to do it because listen, this is 1,001 videos, Andrew. You are the 1,001st video on the channel. Out of those 1,001 videos, my audience can watch 1,000 of them. The one video that they cannot watch is Louis Gohmert on the House floor during the impeachment inquiry saying Erica Caramello Bar's name. I don't say it. In the title, I asked what was going to happen to the video because he said it. It got remonetized and then blocked worldwide. Globally.
That's insane.
It's 2020. Listen, man. And you know what? We'll do it live for those that think that I might be telling some kind of a fib, like I'm invested in lying. Let's go to YouTube Studio. Again, we're at 1,001 videos, folks. You'll see it in a second. Thank you guys, by the way. Without you guys, it wouldn't be possible. And guys, please support these guys. I know I say it all the time, but it's you that makes the difference. Okay? So here we are. Okay, let's view all. Bam. Bump, bump. We're getting there. And there we go. So now this is 1,000 videos before you. Okay? We'll type in Louis because it's the only way to find it. Louis. And locked as private. Now, I can't unlock it. Let's just make sure everybody understands that little fact. They told me in an email over 2 months ago when this was up that it was locked because I had misleading tags. As you'll note, there are 0 tags in the thing. So, I mean, we're at the level where things are Orwellian, where they told Politico they'd already taken down hundreds of videos with Erica Caramello Bar's name in it and tens of thousands of comments. If that's not as Orwellian as it gets, I don't know what is.
I mean, it's literally equivalent to people believing that they're fighting for freedom while at the same time repeating the lines, see something, say something, and trust the plan with no tangible evidence policy-wise that anything is actually changing.
100%. Andrew, it starts next week. I'm going to see you in D.C. You're probably going to get annoyed with the amount of live streaming we're going to be doing together. It's going to be fun times.
I'm pumped for it.
I'm pumped for it too, man, because I want to talk to people on the streets of D.C. and see how they feel and see how brainwashed they are when they're in the epicenter for the beast. I want to remind people that right now, listen, let's say you're busy next week. You can get involved right now with your little cell phone and a little magic button and talk about Julian Assange, talk about free speech. upload it right here, and be part of the solution, even in that very, very little way. We appreciate that. Of course, I have the GoFundMe. Depending on how much we make over the next week is whether I stay till Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we'll see beyond that. But I'm really pumped for it.
If you can stay till Wednesday, we could do an in-person interview or an in-person vigil with you, me, Steve, and Christy on the Wednesday that you're regularly scheduled to join us for a vigil.
Yeah, but that's at 10 p.m. Wednesday.
Yeah.
Man, that's running late for me. It's not like a 5+ hour drive. And the last time I did it, I came back, I hit a deer like 40 minutes out.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so we'll see.
That happen.
We'll see. I'm looking forward to it. Andrew, thank you again, brother.
Either way.
All right.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on.
You got it. Andrew Smith, everybody, doing great work out there. Make sure you're thumbing this video up. You're subscribed to the Burmese Brigade. I want to thank Jill and Erica Jill, and of course, everybody out there. Drufus, I see you in there. Everybody who's supported the Burmese Brigade, man. We really do appreciate it. It rocks. And Rockfin rocks. And it's a platform. I'm going to put it in here. $9.99 a month, subscription-based. But you get everybody's content. And I think that I'm actually going to do a broadcast in a little bit, doing a bunch of news stories that I haven't covered, including the topless Bernie protesters. That insanity. Oh, that wasn't it. See, I'm getting a little tuckered. And a lot of other stories that are a little bit more important than that, actually. A whole lot more important. New York State bail reform, some wins, some losses, a lot of good stuff. Guys, I absolutely love you. Make sure you're thumbing it up. You're subbing, you're sharing. I'll see you on the flip.